train went by, everything stopped and everybody ran to the level crossing, and we all had to look at this train, and I didn't really get the point.
And she still doesn't. We come as a pair, Roberta and Lorne, and we've been that way since 1960, which is turning out to be quite a long time, but a happy time.
Yes, I have no regrets.
From my early years, I guess what I liked most was that the trains went by very close to our house, and everything was on display, great belching clouds of smoke and steam, and also recorded a lot of the railway action, just recording the trains and their origin, destination, and the number of freight cars on the freight trains and passenger cars on the passenger trains, and the time that they went by, and so on. I was home with a cold. I seem to have a tendency to have colds, so I was sitting there by the window watching the trains, of course, and a big freight train was coming by, and it derailed. It derailed at a switch, and the engine turned around and tipped over into the ditch, and the cars all piled up, and a lot of them were made of a lot of wood, like refrigerator cars to bring oranges from Florida, and they splintered and shattered, and the oranges spilled all over the place. So we had great orange juice because they were those big ones that were coming in for pre-Christmas. We didn't have at that time, 1944, this was wartime, we didn't have oranges all year round. They just came in for special occasions, they would bring them in. And so we found it to be a great delicacy. I was a very shy kid, and my brother was outgoing, so there's the contrast right there. I was older, so I had more experience in certain things, but he was the one who took initiative more than I did, and I was the shy guy who stood in the background. And in university, I was still a loner. I didn't get into organized sports in any way at any time. I would do activities, but on my own, you know, bicycle, for example, you're on your own. I started university in commerce, but I didn't care for it much to begin with, and also I didn't have any bucks in my pocket much, so I quit. I applied for anything that the railway offered in the head office, and got a job as a research clerk in the research development department, but that didn't last long because I heard of an opportunity in public affairs. So I got into file clerk, big deal, but you learn. So I picked that up, and then I got an offer to be a junior news writer of internal stories for the Employee magazine and for press releases, and that forced me out of my shyness because I had to go and interview people. Yeah, all right, well that'll be fine, I'll see you then. And it gives you confidence then when you get some information, you put it down and the editor likes it and it gets published and you think, okay, I'm on the road. And then at headquarters, the big thing was that in 1959, CN decided that it needed upgrade of its corporate identity, which meant its logo and its colors on the trains, and it needed an improvement in all of that because it looked stodgy and historic. So engaged designers, and they said to the designers, your point man for inside information about CN is Lorne Perry. So I got that job. The CN logo was the creation of a couple of designers, one in New York and one in Toronto. They would done endless sketches and illustrations and whatnot of how, and nothing was very appealing or very gripping or grabbing or whatever. So finally, they put the C together with the N and made a flowing line. Well, the flowing line was key. First of all, it was a simple. It carried the letters CN, which stood for Canadian National. It also was bilingual, whereas all the graphics before that had not been. It was an impressive logo right from the start. As soon as it was unveiled, Everybody knew it. It was on the front page of every newspaper in Canada and on television, and it's still being used unaltered. Nobody's itching to change it. Never has been anybody itching to change it. The best fun I had, perhaps, was Canadian National was bound to have a pavilion at Expo 86, which was a World's Fair, but the theme was transportation and communications. So guess what? CN had to be there. And the management first approached it, how can we stay out? And the answer was, you can't. So we did, and we went in big. And I remember the chief financial officer of the company saying, okay, 10 million, but not a penny more. We had a wide open plaza, and we had a small theater with a show. Our animators, we got them rollerblades, which were brand new at that time. And I also got to travel overseas once our program was established because it became famous. And we got invitations, go to England and show them how to do it, and go to France and show them how to do it. And I would go and make these presentations. It's anomalous that I was the guy who got into public affairs, public relations. I was a presenter, I was a interviewer, I was a writer, all things that you had to be outgoing. I was a reporter. You had to go and make your way. And that got me out of my shyness, I suppose. I'm not being shy today, I hope. I was over 60, and the boss said, look, I have to shrink this establishment, and we're making room for younger people. And I said, oh, I know all about that. And as far as transition from working every day to staying home every day, well, first it seems like vacation, and that's what we did. We went to England and had a little house for 3 weeks or so. But when you come back, and you say, I don't have to go to work. And vacation goes on and on and on, and isn't it nice? And so my joke is that, well, it took me about 10 minutes to get used to being retired.